each and every one of you, and welcome to We Need to Talk, where we are discussing those issues that are important to you and the communities you are connected to. I am your host, Pastor Brandon Clay, and I am super excited about this opportunity to begin this journey with you on We Need to Talk. And I just want you to do me a very quick favor. Take this time now, like and share. Get this into your sphere of influence, because I promise you, the next 25 minutes will be informative and power-packed, and you don't want to miss it. Because tonight we have with us in the studio, Dr. Robin Steps. And I'm so excited that she's taken time away from her busy schedule to sit down and talk with us. She is a mayoral candidate for the seat of mayor in the city of England, Arkansas. She has some very bright ideas. She has some very well thought initiatives, and she has a platform and a purpose that I believe the citizens of England, Arkansas need to hear, know, and understand. So please take this time again, like and share. And we're going right into the studio with Dr. Steps. Thank you so much for taking time away from the campaign trail to visit with us today on We Need to Talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Pastor Clay. I'm happy to be here to share my ideas, and I'm just opportunity that I'm thankful to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have a few things to cover today. First of all, I'm just really super excited about this, just because the Bible says that when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. And so we know there's so many things that are going on in the political arena. So just to have somebody of your caliber running for the mayor of England is absolutely amazing for our community and for the body of Christ. I just want to make sure I get that in there.
Thank you, thank you.
So I want to get right into it, because there are some questions that I think people really want to know the answers to. So just looking at your educational background and all of your professional achievements, there are literally so many things that you could be doing professionally, educationally, academically, that would be extremely lucrative and that would take you across the entire world. But you decided at this time to run for the mayor of England, Arkansas. So the question I have is, of all the things that you're qualified to do and capable of doing, why the mayor of England and why now?
Well, the major reason why I decided to do what I'm doing is because, first of all, England is where I was born.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I was born in England. I graduated from high school in England. A lot of my relatives are from England. So I have a great love for the city itself and the residents. So I have a passion for where I am. I returned here 6 years ago.
Okay.
After I actually retired in the educational field. So I decided to come back home, not really decided I was going to teach again, but after I made it here, I decided to go back to the high school where I graduated.
Wow.
So I taught prior to the pandemic 4 years in my school that I actually graduated from high school. And that was a lovely experience, because I had an opportunity to teach not only the children, but actually the grandchildren of my classmates.
Wow.
And I actually had an opportunity to have conversation with those students, and I lived through what they only heard about.
Wow.
So I was able to share some of the experiences that they never heard about. Wow. And that was some of the things that I could share, and they were amazed. And as I had those conversations, I gained to be closer and closer to the students and the citizens of England, because their parents were the children of my classmates. So after being here after about 4 years, then others start asking me questions like, why don't you run for mayor or some other area other than just being in education? And when they asked me that question, I was like, what? But after I started observing some of the issues, and I can actually say decade-long issues of the city, then I felt that it drove me to actually get involved. And that's how I arrived in this candidacy. I decided that I could better help if I became more involved. And that's how I ended up as candidate for mayor.
And that's pretty amazing, because there are some people that talk about the problems, but there are other people that actually get involved and do what's necessary to change what's going on. So just your story in general, a full circle kind of situation where you started here, so you're able to know what England was in your youth, and then to come back home and to see some of the things that have changed.
Yes.
And then to hear some of the cries of the people.
Yes.
So this is a response, a duty response, really, to similar kind of to the cries of the people.
Exactly. And because one of my strong points is my communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
And because my educational background is an addictions counselor,
Okay.
and my PhD is in religious counseling. So that's what I do as a profession, and that's what I do on a daily basis. So I had the opportunity to hear the issues, and I became more in depth about what was affecting the residents. Mm-hmm. So I'm a full believer of this. Too much is given, much is required. And I knew that had been blessed with quite a bit of gifts, mm-hmm. and I had been blessed with education, mm-hmm. that a lot of my friends and a lot of the residents here were not as fortunate as I to get those things. So I want to use the things that I have gained throughout the years, mm-hmm. to come back and address issues that I'm very passionate about. Not only, as I said, the residents themselves, but the city itself. Wow. So I knew that I had the abilities, so I want to share, because coming back and giving back is what it's all about.
Absolutely. That's absolutely amazing. And so, of course, you know that any position dealing with people, it brings its challenges. But when you couple those challenges with the political pressures of the position of being the mayor of England, how has your training, your education, and your experience prepared you for this moment?
One of the major, two different times, I was trained in educational leadership as a building administrator principal.
Okay.
That gave me quite a bit of training as being a leader. And then my experience as being a pastor for 6 years and going through training in that area, especially the clinical pastoral education, that gave me more training on being a great leader. Okay. But then also, as being a pastor, I had an opportunity to live a life of leadership, and realizing that it not only, you can't do this as an individual, it has to be teamwork.
That's good. Wow.
And I've learned that, through the different educational areas, through school and through the ministry, it all works the same way. Absolutely. That you have to, it takes everyone. It's just not the one person thing. It's a teamwork, team effort.
Absolutely. And so I know that there are some that are probably like me that just really don't know what the roles and responsibilities of the position of being mayor are. So what are those roles and daily responsibilities of a mayor? What do they do?
Well, the mayor has the task of proposing, modifying, and enforcing policies. The mayor position also is like the executive officer of the city.
Okay.
So what that actually entails is hiring city officials, and also when it comes a time that you have to replace certain officials as well.
Okay.
But it takes a lot of observation, and it gives you opportunity. And I've learned this: you can't make those decisions based on feelings. It has to be facts.
That's important.
It's important.
That's big.
And that's one of the ways of being a good leader. You have to concentrate on facts and not allow your feelings to be a part of those decisions.
Wow. And that's amazing, especially when we consider like the political backdrop of our day, where you have alternative facts and integrity is not always on the forefront of leadership. So just to be able, just understanding what those roles and responsibilities are, it takes somebody that can look at the facts and separate that from their feelings to be able to lead the city to where it really needs to be.
Exactly, because I am a full believer that a sustainable vision has the residents' priorities in place.
Okay.
And you want to be sustainable. You don't want to just be quick decisions and not giving it the proper thought and consideration. You want it to be sustainable. You want it to last. And then you want to have lasting solutions to the issues that come about. And you got to have a mind of accepting change as well. If you don't have a mind to accept change, then you are stuck in an area that you're getting too personal with it.
Absolutely.
You know, I was taught by a great man that a refusal to change is a decision to become extinct, and I don't want to get extinct.
That's pretty good. That sounds pretty profound.
Yes, it is.
But you said a key word in your statement just now that I really want to go a little further into because you used the word issues. So for those from the England community that are watching, that will watch, that are listening, that will listen, what are some of the issues and things that you've seen in the community that you feel they need to be addressed, and how do you plan to address them?
Okay, there are several platforms that I want to address in the mayor position. One of them is transparency. I have noticed and even looked on our city website that it's not enough transparency there. In other words, there's no data, there's no actual information that's going to help the residents to know where funding is and where funding has been placed. And then there's no information concerning data on crime and how it's affected our city. We don't have information regarding the statistics on percentage of poverty in our city. Wow. For instance, 50.5% of the individuals that's African American in our town are below the poverty level.
Wow.
And out of, I believe, over 80% are not homeowners.
Wow.
So one of the platforms that I want to address, I'm going to study the contracts on public housing and how they are introduced or how the funding comes about in cities. And I want to have affordable housing where regardless of your income, you can afford to own your own home.
That's good.
So I want to address how not only the actual residents can have more wealth, but how they can develop wealth for future generations.
Wow. And that's vitally important for the sustainability of any city, is to be able to set up roots for generations to come so that people can raise their children and their children's children in this community.
Exactly, because when I came back, it was difficult to find housing that we were going to be comfortable.
Wow.
And I know that because of my husband and I were retired and we had reached a certain age and we had certain income coming in,
right,
that others might not have had that same type of income, so they wouldn't be able to afford to move where we actually had to live. But I believe that it should be made available for anyone, regardless of their income.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this is just kind of, so take the time that you actually worked in the school system and you're interacting with the children. Like, what did you see, or maybe some of the things maybe that you heard just dealing with those children that also sparked your interest to do this in terms of what can be invested into the youth of this community to help to improve it or to build it towards viability in the future?
One of the areas that I taught that I found that was most interesting was financial literacy.
Wow.
I taught financial
wow.
literacy at England High School. And when I taught that, and then I thought about how I did not know certain things when I was growing up, how interest rates affected
God.
my payments.
Right. Oh,
And
yeah.
when I talk to the students about cars, because I have to choose a subject that they are interested in,
Mhm.
so I use cars. So I said, did you know that if your credit is good, that somebody else would, if you had bad credit and somebody else had good credit, their payment was going to be $600 and yours might be $300 because you had good credit?
I wish
Did you
somebody
know
would've
your
told me that.
interest rates? Oh my goodness, it makes a difference. They said, for real?
Wow.
And then we talked to them. My husband came in one of my speakers, and he talked about military and how the advantages of going to the military could pay for your education.
Ah.
They were like, really? So, and then we talked about budgeting.
Mhm.
And they all wanted a good job and want to move out the house, so we just broke it all the way down. Do you know that if you make $10 an hour, in which in England you might not make $10 an hour,
Wow.
you might make $400 a week, maybe. Do you realize how much that's going to go on rent, car payment, and and your gas and they said, I said, so that means if you don't go to school and get an education,
Absolutely.
that you're going to pay more and you're going to have to work 2 jobs just to get what you're accustomed to having.
Wow.
So when I talked to them on that regard, financial literacy, and we took a field trip to the bank, they
okay.
loved that.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
but I found out that real life situations,
Mm.
students learn more.
Absolutely.
And that's why I love the area that I taught, which was family and consumer science in high school, which included financial literacy.
Okay.
Yes,
I got
yes. Child development.
Absolutely.
And that was another area
Absolutely.
that, based on the questions you just asked me, when I had taught child development, and we had to, one of the major assignments was they had to create a genealogy chart.
Okay. Okay.
And some of my students did not know their great grandparents. Some of them didn't even know their grandparents' name. And I knew these people.
Wow.
Now it hit home.
Mm.
You don't know your grandmother?
Mm.
You don't know her name? No, ma'am.
Wow.
And I knew the grandmother, and you don't know the name, and you don't know their mother and father. So I believe that is when I really start stressing, okay, we got to do something.
Absolutely.
I'm here and I know this, so I need to do something. and another time that we really had a good lesson is when I carried all of my students to a city council meeting.
Okay.
And we created projects. They had to create projects in England, and I got an idea of what they wish they would have had in England. We only have one grocery store.
Wow.
I know it's shocking. We have one grocery store for a population of approximately 3,000 people. One grocery store this date. That grocery store has not been here but 3 months. This town went 3 months with no grocery store.
So what were the residents doing during that time?
They were traveling to Little Rock.
To go to the grocery store?
They were shopping out of Family Dollar and Dollar General.
Wow.
And we have senior citizens, many senior citizens in this town. And we have quite a bit of residents that do not have transportation. And that sparked me as well.
Wow.
How could anyone say you love your city and allow the residents to go 3 months without a grocery store?
Wow. 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 It's
unbelievable,
amazing.
isn't it?
That's amazing.
But it's the truth.
That's amazing.
That's what we have. So the people that have cars, it's no big deal.
They're fine.
You go to Pine Bluff, Little Rock, Stuttgart, Lone Oak, wherever you come to your mind, you can go.
Right.
And on your way back, you stop at the store. But if you don't have a car, You got to ask somebody, and now gas prices are up. You can't afford.
Wow.
Your stamps won't pay for the food and gas to get to it.
So you have a whole faction of people from this community that are just not being considered and serviced.
Exactly.
And they're here, tax-paying citizens, loyal citizens of this community.
Yes.
That are not being considered at all.
And the majority of them have been here all their life.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Generations.
Wow.
We have some families with 4 generations still here.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Now that's amazing.
That's amazing.
So that is one of the situations of many that has driven me to say, I need to be involved.
Wow.
And this is what I tell many people that I talk to. What I have in my heart for this city will not be determined by my candidacy. Because if I win or lose, I'm still going to do the work that I've been sitting here to do.
That says everything that needs to be said. Your passion for the position is really not even about the position. It's about the people.
It's about the people.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It is about the people. And I tell them, don't fret and don't worry. You know, if I'm allowed to hold that position, that'll be great, because I will be in a position to do more.
Right. Absolutely.
But however, I'm still going to do what I need to get done, whether I'm in that office or not.
That's amazing. And I think that speaks volumes. So for everybody that's listening to this, the residents of England, Arkansas, I think you've heard enough to know what the right choice is. So Dr. Steps, if there's any parting words, anything that you want to leave with the voters, with the citizens of England, just look right at that camera and just tell them whatever it is you want to tell them, your parting words.
I would like to say to the citizens of England that, as I said earlier, too much is given, much is required. And I believe that regardless of the plans I've ever had, this is my purpose. My purpose is to help those that might not be able to help themselves. I have a passion for not only you, but the generations to come. I ask you to use your voice, have a voice. You cannot have a voice if you don't vote. I want you to know that our voter registration will end on October the 10th. I want you to register by that time so you will have a voice and be able to vote no later than November the 8th. Early voting is October the 24th through November the 8th. Use this time to have a voice, because I do believe that as I'm voted in, you're going to be the part of the decision making. I want to address some of the decade-old situations that we've dealt with, but I want to have solutions, and I want you to be a part of that solution. Vote for me, and as my slogan says, take the right steps. Vote Robin Steps as your next mayor of England, Arkansas.
Again, thank you so much, Dr. Steps, for taking time away from your busy schedule on the campaign trail to sit down with us here on We Need to Talk. And I just want to extend this opportunity for those of you who have had an opportunity tonight to hear her platform and her purpose and her passion to be mayor of the city of England. If you want to make financial contributions to her campaign, you can do that by mailing those financial contributions to P.O. Box 1694, Little Rock, Arkansas, zip code 72203. Again, you can mail those campaign contributions to P.O. Box 1694 in the city of Little Rock, zip code 72203. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in to We Need to Talk. Until next time, be blessed, be strong, and God's peace be with you.